All right, next up here, we got the Indianapolis Colts. And for me, similar to the Cardinals, best case scenario is just got to be 500. So if they were to hit best case scenario, a few things would have to happen. Number one, A-Rich is just going to have to hit the ground absolutely running. There's not going to be much time for a lot of mistakes. He's going to have to be playing very similar to how Cam Newton did right off the jump, just coming in, surprising a lot of people, being very pro-ready, even when we expected him to have a lot of growing pains. That would have to be the first thing that would have to happen. The next thing that's going to have to happen is they have to win a lot of their divisional games. I think if they're going to ever find a way getting close to 500, a majority of those games would come within the division because the division is so weak. Now, again, though, they're the weakest team, arguably. They're one of the two weakest teams in the division. So it's not like that's going to be an easy task to just go and win all their division games. And then finally, too, Jonathan Taylor's going to be a huge part of it if that was to happen. Jonathan Taylor going again for another 2,000, whatever, 1,900, 1,800 yard year. That's the only thing I think, if you combine all those, Colts are going to find themselves anywhere near 500. And then worst case scenario for the Colts is going to be a top 5 pick. I don't have them tanking for Caleb because you just took your shot on A-Rich. You got to give it some time to work. You got to let him develop. Worst case, though, certainly could be a top 5. I mean, it could be right there. You know, they could be very low. They could finish 3-4 wins. I feel like it's about as low as it could get. But I can certainly see it happening. I mean, it's going to be a tough year. And also with the Colts roster again, there's just still a lot of holes. Defensive backs, shaky. Interior and right side of the O-line, definitely still a little shaky. Got some nice receiving core pieces, but again, nothing amazing. Just right now, the Colts, growing pains. On to the Houston Texans. Say for the Houston Texans, again, best case scenario is going 500. Worst case scenario, the Texans have a unique one. Truly. I literally had to pull an audible on this one, Hunter, because the worst case scenario for the Texans is you don't improve at all and you don't have the first round pick that you traded away to the Cardinals. That's just the ultimate worst case scenario for the Texans. But I'll talk about the best case scenario first. Best case scenario, going 500. Again, a few things got to happen. Number one, very similar to the A-Rich situation, is that CJ Stroud's got to step in right away and really not miss a lot of beats. Number two, is that John Mechie would have to step in this rookie year. Is it his rookie year? How does that work? So it would be John Mechie's rookie year. He'd have to break out him now because he's going to be playing this year. Their second round pick last year. Got a chance. Coming back from leukemia diagnosis. Glad to have you back. We're glad to hear that. Serious note, John Mechie, that's awesome. And then the final thing that would have to happen is that DeMeco Ryans would have to come in, have this defense playing similar to how the 49ers were playing last year. Obviously, I'm kidding. But if you can get them, playing up to standard, a huge jump from last year, that's definitely one of the things that'd be in line to make this team be around a 500 finish. But then that worst case scenario, what would happen to make that worst case scenario is just if this team to make a jump. If CJ Stroud comes in, plays poorly, offense plays poorly again, defense plays poorly again. Certainly not what Texans fans want. It's not what I want to see for them either. But again, if DeMeco Ryans isn't the guy, CJ Stroud's not the guy, well, hey, it certainly is possible. I don't think that's going to be the case. But again, that's the worst case scenario. Absolutely. On to the Tennessee Titans. Best case scenario I'm thinking for them is going to be about going 500. What would have to happen for the Titans to go 500? Obviously, we're going to need Derrick Henry to carry the load again. Derrick Henry with this receiving core, with the QB situation, there's no two ways around it. Derrick Henry's going to have to carry the offense again. Number two, and I think this is almost just the recipe for them to go 500 in of itself. It's actually kind of simple. It's just Derrick Henry balling. And then that defense that we know is a good unit. A lot of stout names in this defense. Got Arden Key, D'Amico Autry, Jeffrey Simmons, Kevin Byard. There's a lot of good names on this defense. Just need them to play all up to standard. Run game gets going. 500, definitely not likely. Certainly a possibility for the Titans. But then worst case scenario. The worst case scenario for the Titans has got to be tanking for Caleb Williams. If Tannehill makes a huge regression, Will Levis is not ready to step in yet. Will Levis plays bad if he steps in. We know that the receiving core is just subpar. Titans' issues end up being mainly offensive, but the offense is lacking so much that if things truly hit the fan the worst way possible, I think certainly, and again, you just have to Will Levis, but it doesn't matter. If you got a chance to take Caleb Williams, you're going to take Caleb Williams. It is what it is. On to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Best case scenario for the Jaguars? Feels weird to say, but man, Super Bowl contenders. Well, look, let's start off with the obvious. They're in a weak division. Find ways to win almost all of, if not all of, divisional games. You're going to be putting yourself in a great home field spot potentially for the playoffs. They're a young team that made a big leap last year. Make another big leap. A lot of the young guys make another one this year. They're going to be making a lot of noise over there. And not only that, the offense is stacked. Throw in Calvin Ridley to this unit. Man, the sky's the limit. Worst case scenario for the Jaguars, I'm thinking is to be going about 500, just like the Chargers. It would just be star players struggling to stay healthy. Anything were to happen to Trevor Lawrence, the wheels could fall off very quickly. But I don't see that happening. I think the Jaguars got a very solid season ahead of them.